on why to find dead stuff. My name is Kristin Hugo. I love dead things. I prefer them alive, but they're much easier to catch when dead. Here's me on one of the bone piles I found, and that's probably the grossest thing. So other stuff is going to be less gross. Of a reindeer that I watched, get processed in Norway. Okay. So why find dead stuff? Because it's cool and free, and it's an adventure with treasure, and it is important. Yes, really, it's important to look at dead stuff. Go ahead. So why? So dead stuff isn't inherently bad or sad, right? If something dies, all that means is that something lived, and that's great. There's nothing better. Sometimes there are, of course, deaths that were maybe preventable and not so great. So I found a field of 51 dead sheep, and one of them I could see had plastic in its stomach. In the cases of like poaching, trafficking, disease, pollution. In Wyoming, there was a lot of deer and antelope that were caught on fences, and that where they are caught on fences kind of inspires people to try to get funding for wildlife crossings and that go under and over, or to improve the fences so that they're more wildlife friendly. All right. What does it have to do with writing? So the good news is when you're a writer or presumably an artist, you can just focus on anything you want. So here's my beautiful collage of some of my writing success. So here is my Masters of Science in Science Journalism, and the book deal and the grant, and I'm in fact the Wyoming Arts Council Creative Writing Fellow in nonfiction, and I've worked at some lovely places like National Geographic and Hell. Okay, next slide. Yeah. So my two big projects right now, of course, are the book, and I only have the proposal image because it's with the publisher. I'm done. I've been done for like a year. And then the Instagram, which now has 224,000 followers, which is like closing on half the population of Wyoming. All right, next slide. For the projects I'm trying to do, so I have the Bone Hunters workbook. I was able to, so the idea was how to find, clean, and learn from bones. I only had time to make how to find and then prepare. So if you want a copy, there's some in the back. I printed 20. They were kind of expensive to print, so don't just like take one to be polite and then throw it away. Like you could just leave it. And then the other kind of projects that I'm working on are a photo book, because I took a lot of pictures for this written book that's a general audience science book, but you know, it's expensive to print photos, so there will be some photos, but like I have over 5,000 photos on Flickr, mostly dead stuff. And you know, obviously, so there's some stories that are being told here. Obviously, the deer caught in the fence. This isn't just a dead squirrel. It was under a power line, and the whiskers are all curled because it was electrocuted. And the horses have a crazy story, but you can look at my TikTok for that. And then my other project that I'm working on, which is like, it's already listed on Viator, but I still need to get the VLM to get some staff so they can approve my permit to do tours on BLM land. But anyway, that's my plan, is the bone hunting tour in Kimmer. Don't know if it's gonna work, hope it does. All right, next slide. Okay, bone hunting tips. So I took some of the residents to bone hunt in the 1,000. And so obviously this is one of my most common questions is, how do you find so many bones? So there's, I mean, like any skill, it's practice and dedication and kind of like obsession and that kind of stuff. But as far as like little tips and tricks, and in any skill or art or writing, you're not going to be good at it by the end of a presentation. So you won't be good at it by the end of today. But as far as like little things that you can take with you as you're doing this, like a lot, Number one, go to weird, random, and unpopular spots. The best spots are literally not even spots. Like, you can't even collect in national parks, and everybody seems to think that national parks are the only place that you can get nature. Maybe not here in Wyoming, but on the internet, like, it's like, oh, what national park? Not everywhere is a national park. BLM land, way better in terms of like the way fewer rules. Two, go off trail. That's not against rules, generally. In fact, there is a national park that has no trails. Anyway, but you'd obviously have to use common sense. Three, go into ravines. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think it's because rain washes the bones down into the ravines, or could be like sick animals can walk downhill very easily and not uphill so easily. I don't really know. And four, ask around. Next slide. Okay, cleaning methods, which I didn't get into the little workbook, but there's a lot, and I mean, there's a guy who is so into just the degreasing method that he's trying to build a whole business on like a product that degreases bones, and that's only part of it. Sometimes you process bones and they don't even need degreasing. But so some of them are nature cleaning, which of course is like, it almost means just like doing nothing. It's almost, I hesitate to call it a process. You might want to put like a cage over them so that people or animals don't drag the bones that you want away, but it's literally just like leaving it there. Maybe putting it on an anthill or something like that. You can bury it. Beetles, I don't want to do that because beetles are alive and that means that they're hard to take care of. Simmering, not to be confused with boiling. My favorite is the maceration method because technically all you really need is water. If it's like cold, you'd want like a fish tank heater. And it's very, very stinky. Like you get a drop of that stuff on you and you will stink forever. Next slide. Yeah. Learning. So that was another thing that I wanted to talk about if and when I expand the Bone Hunter's Guide and Workbook. So we were talking earlier about how deer shed antlers, but you might not see that a lot. I mean, people in Wyoming, they probably know that, but like you might not see that because in every painting and every sculpture and every photo and every taxidermy mount, they're all in hard antlers. But I have, just a collection of some skulls I found. Well, a female, no antlers. I guess a little washed out, actually. The male who had shed his antlers before he died. This one, that's what you see in the painting. This one, I think, had a testosterone disorder. Something was really weird about him. And this one had shed one antler. I do have a deer skull who died in velvet that I found in, like, in the Creek Park. I forgot what it's called in Washington, D.C. Rock Creek Park, I think. But they are very crumbly at that stage. So they don't really preserve very well. I've seen people do it. It's just very complicated. And of course, here's a shed antler. So I'm sure most people in Wyoming know that they shed antlers. And then when it comes to like it's important thing, here's some of the deer or the horses I found in that field. And I think what's really important, the reason I took this series of pictures of them is, so obviously some of them are just worn out. They were probably killed earlier. Maybe some animals chewed on them. So like these, you're not going to be able to tell a lot of information from. But if I had them here, you can see that the brain is only here, right? It's only there. It's only there. So why the heck was someone shooting down there? Why was someone shooting 1, 2, 3, 4 times? So it's important to look at these things because then you kind of come to the realization that it seems that there are a lot of people, and I've seen this in coyotes and raccoons and cows. I see this all the time. I think this is one of the biggest problems is people, I guess, when they're going to kill an animal, they just think, all right, just shoot it between the eyes because that's where my brain is, but an animal is not you. But this guy, we can't hold him accountable because when his girlfriend went missing and the people came to look for his girlfriend, he went off and ended himself. So we'll never know why he was so cruel to these horses. But his son said that he did it, quote, out of anger. So yes, this was in fact tragic. But yeah, not all dead animals are. But sometimes the tragic ones are sometimes more important to look at because I do think that we need to educate people better about where the freaking brain is if you're going to shoot them. Okay, next one. Yeah. Okay, that's about it. Here's some of my social medias. So if it's a star beside it, that means that it's gross. The TikTok is not gross. Oh, I didn't put the Tumblr up. It's strange bio, but I don't know if anyone's on Tumblr anyway. And then I also run a group called Authors of Nonfiction Books in Progress. So if anyone's writing a nonfiction, like reported book, yeah, that's free. And here are some skeletons I found in the 1,000 behind Jentel, including a badger and 2 deer.